Hey there, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Got a quick video for you this week. I was delayed in getting this out due to some day job drama, but it is now Monday, July 31st, and this is your delayed weekly video. We're going to do a quick review of our forecast that is ongoing here, and you can see that we're treading sideways since we issued this forecast, which is the yellow line last week. This is really based on the Venus retrograde that's underway right now. So we've got our target box over here at about 15,125 on the NQ futures. And it's lined up with the midpoint of Venus retrograde. This also happens to be right around the yellow line here, which is a Gann wave yellow. That's a lunar cycle. Another thing that's interesting to note here is that we just completed a Gann wave blue, and price pretty much matched today the same price that it was trading at 2 weeks ago at the Gann wave yellow. So that also happened in the prior cycle. We had the price down here on July 3rd pretty much matching the price on July 20th. So if this pattern continues, we can expect a little bit of a pullback over the next week or so into the subsequent Gann wave green. So this is a good example of using these Gann wave cycles to help with your analysis. So the next Gann wave green is coming up on August 7th in about a week. Okay, so it's too early to judge this forecast. It's not wrong, it's not right. We've got another couple of weeks to go before we approach the start of the timing box here on August 10th. So we'll be watching that and updating it next week. If anything changes to invalidate this forecast, we'll let you know. But this remains the forecast for the next week. Okay, as always with forecasts, I should put in this warning. Do not trade the forecast alone. You want to combine time and price. So always combine these forecasts with good risk management and price analysis as well. All right, so let's go and do a quick tour of some major symbols that we're tracking here. This is the SPX. One of the reasons for this forecast box being where it is you can see this cluster of pivots down here, ranging from about 74 to 79% between August 14th and August 18th, I think that is. Yep. So now we don't know the direction of the pivot. We think because of Venus retrograde and prior scenarios that we analyzed last week that this will be a pivot low. So that's the rationale for the target box being where it is. And then after that, we've got an increasing probability of moves. So if this is a pivot low, then these are likely to be moves up into early September. Okay, so another tool that we can use within time trades is the mass pressure index. So the mass pressure index for SPX includes two types. First one is weekly, and this is based on Saturn and Jupiter cycles. So it's a long-term cycle based on a combination of what happened 60 years ago, 20 years ago, and 10 years ago. And what we see here is, even though it's a green candle coming up for this week, it also has a wick lower, okay? So indicating a low that's lower than the prior week, all right? So that's one bit of bearishness for the forecast. And then if we look at the daily mass pressure index, we also see the majority of candles over the next 2 weeks or so are red, with the lowest wick lower happening on August 14th. Okay, so that's good confirmation of our forecast. This is one of the things I really like about time trades, is how it brings together multiple timing tools so you can really get that confluence. All right, so that's SPX. Let's move on, take a look at gold. Okay, so gold, we've got the mass pressure index on. This is the daily mass pressure index. it's showing a drop here over the next week or so if it continues the, based on prior cycles. So this mass pressure index is based on Venus heliocycles. So if it behaves the way it has, similar to this time in prior Venus heliocycles, we can see a drop down here into August 4th, and then a bit of a recovery that aligns with this increased probability of moves up. Okay, so gold looking for a little pullback here, but we do have a very big pivot coming up here on September 20th. So this looks like a major event in combination with a significant move here. So it looks like September could be significant for gold. Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on here. So if I were to sort of take a step back and interpret these forecasts here, we're seeing probabilities of a move that are fairly high with low to no probabilities of a pivot. So this tells me the existing trend is going to continue. So this tells me it's going to be a slight downtrend here into maybe late August 23rd, 24th, 25th. Then we see some probabilities of a pivot. This is where we might see a change in trend. And then we've got this probabilities of moves up ramping up. Okay, so look for a change in trend in gold later on in August. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. All right, so with Bitcoin, we've got the GAN fans on. One of the things that I like to do with GAN fans is just use them as a tool to square the chart. And we can see here from this recent high in April 14th, we've got this GAN fan coming down here. Now, I like to get the one by one going right in between these big moves, because that's typically how these big moves evolve. They turn out to be big jumps over one by ones. And when you get even a relatively short-term GAN fan like this one, like this starts April 14th, so it's quite young. And even when you square the chart based on these young GAN fans, you'll find that even the older GAN fans kind of snap into place here, right? And you can see that this downtrend started. We've got this one here. This is so we've got actually two. That's why it's unreadable. The labels are overwriting each other. But these are two GAN fans, one of which started in September 2022 here, these two. So this kind of sideways grind followed by a drop actually crossed these GAN fans here. And this is what I really enjoy about GAN fans, is that they can make these sideways moves meaningful, right? So price can just grind sideways, consolidate sideways. You can easily write it off as boring price action, but it can just grind right through these significant GAN fans here. And that's a bearish signal. So we've got a drop down here into support, which is this fan here, which started at 48,000 on March of 2022. So now we're grinding sideways again. So ultimately, something has to break here with Bitcoin. And one of the things that's interesting coming up here is August 7th, we've got a spike in the probabilities of a pivot. Now, normally I don't like to trade these, one-off spikes, but this is an interesting day because you can see here it's right around when there's a GAN fan cross. So often we see big moves line up with GAN fan crosses. So keep your eyes peeled on August 7th for a significant pivot in Bitcoin. We could see an end to this move. And again, we're seeing moves, probability of moves without a pivot. This tells me the trend continues until roughly August 7th. And then we see a likelihood of a pivot, and then hopefully Bitcoin will end this little bearish consolidation and pivot right back up. We're going to close today's call with a look at the Nifty. NSCI. And I also like to turn on GAN fans with the Nifty, so we can do that. All right, so lots and lots of lines here on the Nifty. I'm just going to quickly square the chart. Again, I like to use these moves down here. It's actually doesn't look too bad, even just using the default scaling. I'm just going to wiggle the chart around a little bit and line it up. There we go. So we've got a nice high there that lines up with the 1x1, and then price goes up above the 1x1 here on April 17th and comes back for a retest. So I like the way that's scaled. You can see here we're in a cluster of GAN fans and grinding sideways to down. We just finished completed some big probabilities of a move, you can see that the move here was it popped up and then came back down and consolidated a little bit in this GAN fan. Still not bullish, not bearish, really just consolidating sideways here, which is one of the big reasons why in last week's video I called it patience is needed, because everything is really just slowing down with Venus going retrograde. So we just need to hang out here, go fishing, go out and enjoy the good summer weather in the Northern Hemisphere, and come back in a couple weeks. And hopefully by the time the Venus retrograde hits the midpoint, markets will be a little bit more interesting than what we're seeing right now. Okay, so that's it for me. Trade safe, manage your risk, and we will talk to you again next week. Thanks. Bye now.